Hi, everybody, it's Lee Caraher, and this is Everything Speaks, where we talk about how everything you do and say speaks for you if you want to or not. And I'm coming to you today from San Francisco, where I'm traveling from a very dark hotel room. So not in the witness protection program, but it's so light outside that if I didn't pull down these shades that it would look like I was in the witness protection program. Anyway, today we're going to talk about an article. I read a lot. I think, as we've talked about, I think the more you can read, the better you know, the better input, more inputs you have, the better decisions you can make, period. Second, this article was in the AP Associated Press, wrote this article. So it was all over the country in all different outlets, online, in paper, even in video, etc. It's from the AP, and the title is, "In the Rapidly Shifting World of Work, Many Employees Are Unclear What's Expected." And this, of course, boggles my mind, because I think we've said this. How can it be that they're unclear? I'll tell you how it can be they're unclear. Things are shifting all the time. And so I'm recording this on April 9th, 2025, after the tariffs have been put on hold. Just looked at CNBC. After the tariffs have been put on hold for 90 days. The beginning of the day, those weren't on hold for 90 days. And everything was, going down. And now everything is on hold for 90 days, except for China, etc. So if you're paying attention to the world and your job doesn't change, that's unusual to not even think about, how does this impact me? So many things are going on in the world right now that you need to make sure that you're reinforcing the role in a changing world, even if it didn't change. If your role didn't change, if the job didn't change, if the expectations didn't change, you still need to reinforce it in a changing world so people understand, A, that you're thinking about it, and B, that they can keep moving. The other piece of that too, though, is this all starts in recruiting. And really I'm talking about the 90% of jobs that I think are recruited for actually be the job that they got recruited for. You hear about these, jobs. It's all very sensational. I got hired for this job. I'm doing that job. That happens. That was more than we wanted to. But I think in general, the people get hired for the job that exists, right? And then you get in there and some things change. But in general, we get hired for the job that is. Let's talk about that. Let's start setting expectations early and often, like voting in Chicago. Let's start a recruiting process. This is the role. This is how the role operates on the team. This is how the team operates in the company. Here are the goals. Here's where we're moving to. The purpose of the company is XYZPDQ. Let's throw all that into recruiting. That'll help you, A, find the right person for the job. Because if you have a good dialogue about that in the recruiting process, you're going to have a higher confidence that that person can actually do the job that you need to have done. Okay, now in the company, and then you onboard them, and you're reinforcing the whole time. And then they start working. Okay, they start working, and every time you start a project, you need to reset. Here's the project. Here's the goal. Here's the team. Here's all the roles on the team. How can we all work together better? Make that question, right? And then articulate at the end. Here's what we're all going to do. Here are the markers. And here's how we're going to know if we're successful or not. That's all in the air. You've said it audibly. You've asked for feedback, hopefully, and you've improved your plan. You've put it in paper. You've put it into your project management software or whatever you're using. Are you using Asana? Are you using Monday? Whatever you're doing. And you've also established your check-in time. So you don't go from 1 to 3 months later and never having a check-in because maybe things changed, right? And you're reinforcing that. So it's audible and email, and it's in every meeting. If you have a meeting about the project, what's the agenda? The agenda should say something like, what's our purpose of this meeting? And how does it help us get to the end of this project so that people are reinforcing? You just need to do that. I know we're like, can't they just know? Why do I have to do this? And this is where you've heard me say, I know you don't want to. I know you know, but you're getting reinforcement somewhere, either from your own project plan or whatever it is. And you need to carry that expectation and those reinforcements along the line. If it's a peer, if it's someone above you or someone below you, absolutely. I hate those terms, but you know what I mean. The other piece of this is that when you set your project timeline and what your check-in times in, set the expectation of where you should be at certain times. Set the expectation. When you set the expectation, that means it has gone from your head to someone else's head. You can't just think it and then, didn't I tell you that? No, I've done this. Did I dream that I told you? People aren't mind readers, and you just need to reinforce all the time. The other piece of that too is that your project may not change. Your project is the same. Your goal is the same, but the world around you is changing. The world around you is changing so fast. And so today I'm recording this on April 9th, and I'm recording this at 11:30 in the morning Pacific time. And the market started with incredible, the market opened today on Wall Street, anticipating no change in the tariffs that were set last week and then reinforced earlier this week by the administration, that no change, nothing's going to happen. And then just half an hour ago, the administration changed, and they're putting all those tariffs, except for China, on hold for 90 days. Well, that's amazing change. And there isn't a company in this country, I'm going to say a country in the world, that didn't get impacted somehow by the tariffs. They may not have known. I talked to a client yesterday who was, I thought we were insulated, Lee. Then I found out that this one piece of our packaging can only be produced overseas. It's not produced in the United States. It can't be produced in the United States. And they need to double our cost. Well, and we're going to have to pass that along. Just a little teeny thing in their packaging had an impact, which they didn't anticipate because they got it from an American provider who sourced it overseas. They had no idea on the supply chain on that. So there isn't a company who wasn't thinking about how all these tariffs were going to impact them. And so you need to imagine that your people are also thinking about it because it's in the air. Everyone, it's surround sound on these topics right now. There isn't I doubt there are people who are working who don't know that this is happening. And of course, you're going to say, how is this going to impact us? So even when your plans don't change, you need to address the change in the world around you so your people understand that what the expectation is. So for instance, in our world, I sent an email Monday to the team that says, this is happening. I don't know. No one knows how it's all going to play out. We've done a quick dive on seeing what's going on with every count. We don't see there's any need to change course for any client project that's in play right now. There are some things that might be impacted later in the year, but it's too early to call. Everybody stay on course. The only thing you want to do is if you're talking to the media about a certain piece of news at a certain time, just go check what's going on in the world before you do that, so that when you're sending something out to media who's paying attention to everything that's going on in the world, that you can be relevant. And that was really we should do that anyway. That was just a reminder more than like a new idea. But nothing changed for our projects. But we went and looked, and we had to reinforce with our team. The world is a little nutty. We're staying on course. There's no client that needs to change their program. We're double checking with all our clients. They all came back and said, nope, no changes, and keep moving. But if I hadn't done that, I assume someone say, hey, Lee, are there any changes you need to make? Because my team is looking at the news all day long, right? But not everybody's team is doing that, but they're hearing. So when things are changing all the way around you, just now keep reinforcing. I know things are changing all around us, but we're still on course, or we're going to change that deadline to this or that. Just reinforce. Now, that's for the team manager, program manager, project manager, or anybody who's a colleague who sees you going off course. If you see someone going off course, stop them. Don't let them be wrong. Just don't let them be wrong. Be a good team player. Help them be right. Keep talking to each other. Good teams talk. That's the deal. The other piece is on you. On you. If you're not the boss, if you're not the project manager, if you don't know, ask the question. Hey, all the stuff's going on in the world. Do we need to change anything? Is anything different today? Ask the question. And those. Don't just wait for people to feed it to you, because maybe you don't have someone who's a good communicator as your boss. Maybe you don't have a good project manager. Maybe they're out for the week when all this stuff is happening. Raise your hand. Ask questions. Hey, this is going on. I see that, this is supposed to happen on Tuesday, but we're making that announcement on Wednesday. Should we move that? Ask the questions. Ask the questions to get the feedback. The more we ask good questions, the more our teams can perform better and make adjustments as we need to, right? Right. I'm just going to answer my own question there. You don't have to wait for, start the conversation. You don't have to wait for a supervisor to seek impact, to seek feedback or clarify. You can suggest a check-in at any time. Now, I hear all the time, oh my God, they want to check in every single day. Well, you probably don't need to check in every single day, right? That's another performance issue. The only time you need check-ins every day is when you're up against a tight, a big ass project that is just so many moving parts and things change. Oh, Juan didn't get that done on time, or Sally got that done early, or I have more time than I thought. Can I help? So, when you're actually moving towards a big deadline, a half an hour check-in every morning as you get there, it may be appropriate. But in general, a check-in every day against a 3-month project, probably not needed, right? But if you're not getting enough feedback, ask for it. Can I have a quick 10 minutes? Slack them. Email them. On you. Start the conversation. In general, I'll tell you that every leader I know would prefer to have more questions from their teams than not. Like the blank stare on the screen. Yeah, not so good. Because what that says, depending on who you are, that might say you're not engaged. Might say you don't care. Might say you're like, okay, whatever. In general, I think people who are giving you the blank stare, they don't think that. It just is what video has done to us more than anything else. You got to go seek it out, right? And if you can bring those questions, bring that curiosity, bring that, hey, just want to check in, have some thoughts to the table, you're going to be more valuable. You're going to be more valuable to your team, period. And then if it's crazy, you got to check your instincts. If you've been there for a while and things are feeling a little jiggy, wait a second. Like if you're jumping from one thing to the other and nothing's getting done, let's take a moment, take a beat, pause, write it out, like understand what you're dealing with. So then you can, and then make your priorities, make your priority list, and then go double check to make sure your priorities are their priorities. If you're on 15 different things, which happens all the time, not because we want people to be on 15 different things, just because the way things change or people are out or whatever it is. Holy crap, I can't have 10 number one priorities. But I do. So I need to reprioritize. You trust your instincts on that. Take control over what you can control. You can control what you know about what you're supposed to get done. If you've been assigned stuff, you can control what you know. You may not be able to control what's first on your list, but you can control making sure that you understand what's on your plate. That's public, at least, right? And then go get clarity. So, the world is changing. People have changing jobs. If you got hired last year, chances are, so imagine you've been at the job, whatever job it is, for a year and a half. Chances are that you were using AI where you never used AI before. Chances are that schedules have changed if you're working on an 18-month project. Chances are that the world around you is in chaos right now. Chances are that your team has changed. And when your team changed, maybe your roles changed because they didn't hire someone who could automatically just slide in where that person who left did. Or that maybe your team added. You have more people on the team. Well, if you add more people on the team, you don't all have the same role. Right? It doesn't happen that way. So every time things change, there's nothing that hasn't changed. Right? No one's static. And it's our job as leaders and project managers, colleagues, to make sure our teammates understand what is the goal, what are the key makers, what's the deadlines, and how are we going to get there, and what is everybody's different part in that task. And then our role on the team to say, hey, hello, 19 first priorities over here can't be done. Or, you know what, I have third priorities. How can I help or rearrange so that I can balance this workload? That's what the two-way street is all about. And in general, I like the in generals. Actually, I don't. I like the exceptionals. But because I think exceptional is where people get excited. The exceptional places are when that's a natural dialogue. Here's the natural dialogue. It's a natural update. Things are changed. Nothing has changed. Oh, Lee or whoever. This has changed in my world. How does that impact everybody else's world? Because no one ever understands all the implications of what's going on. Having that dialogue, being that team together, teams talk, and then you can make sure that even though things are rapidly shifting, that your employees understand what's expected of them. That's on you, whoever you are. All right. Till next time, I'm Lee Caraher, and this is Everything Speaks.